It is a quarter to the weekend, and we couldn't be more excited to be bringing you Smell the Coffee. Now, we are with someone who is not a stranger to the show, Mr. Ashwin Berry.
How's it going?
It's going. It's going.
It's going.
It's going.
All
That's what matters. Maybe going backwards, maybe going forwards, but what matters is it's going.
It's as cold as it was when winter started, right? It's feeling chilly again.
Not today. Yesterday was.
Yesterday was good.
Today, not really.
Not so much. I'm feeling the cold.
But how are you?
I'm
Apart
good.
from the cold.
Taking it easy.
Mhm,
Taking it easy. We had a good sporting weekend. We look forward to what's to come.
Okay, I see.
And your
I
side,
see.
how's things going?
Like I said, going. It doesn't matter if it's forward or backwards.
But there's movement.
There's movement.
There's
What
movement.
matters is there's movement.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's actually it's very interesting. I would say to just sometimes you wanna enjoy the journey, but then the journey is quite treacherous. So you're like, but I'm not enjoying this journey at all. I want to get to the destination. Because I always say, no, there's joy in the journey. I'm not finding joy in the journey.
I mean, sometimes, especially when the journey is hectic, it's only when you reach the destination that you understand the value of the journey.
I've heard that so many times, and it's like, listen.
It is what it is.
No, it's not what it is. I don't like what it is. I saw a meme yesterday, and I actually posted it, that said, God keeps testing me like I'm one of his strongest soldiers. If you keep testing me, you're going to see me real soon, big guy.
We'll be together.
We'll be together real soon. But yeah, man, we do have quite the show for you today. We're talking about people getting scammed. We're talking about certain people using TikTok. Yeah, it's going to be, it's interesting.
Very interesting, without a doubt. Yeah.
Especially since you are here.
Yes. So I always bring politics wherever I go.
We are looking forward to your take, your second take.
Quote unquote.
Wink, wink. But anyway, for now, we'll be taking a quick ad break, getting into our news when we come back.
eTicket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nmh.com.na.
As you know, there are going to be elections all over Africa. Some have already, wrapped up. But in Namibia, there's going to be an election in November. And SWAPO presidential candidate Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah says the party will use social media platforms such as TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube as part of its campaign to reach voters and move with the times. The party will also use its website, radio programs, and print as per usual. Now, she said this when she launched the party's campaign instrument in Windhoek. This is according to the Namibia newspaper, by the way. Now, she said Namibia Today stopped printing in 2015, and she wants to bring that back. And very interesting. SWAPO into the future.
I've actually already started seeing their videos on TikTok.
Yes.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
I don't have any thoughts. Like it's just something that you're seeing. You're like, oh, okay, cool.
Well, I see what you're doing. Yeah, because I think you have to be creative in the way that you reach voters.
Yes.
Especially right now when you have a situation that millennials are going to be the ones. Millennials, and some Gen Zs are going to be the ones voting. This year they're going to be the majority of the voters. So I don't know. I would say Netumbo, it might be a good time to learn some TikTok dances because they don't want
challenges.
to say, do some TikTok challenges because they don't want to hear words. They don't want to. They don't have the patience for that.
True.
And if they do, they're more likely to be more liberal than parties like SWAPO are capable of being. So let's keep it entertaining, keep it vibey. But I think it's important. And I think that they should have started a long time ago. We are within the year of election. People have known of the election date for a while. And I think that every political party should be doing its best to reach the young people.
Definitely.
Because it seems like, I think they think the young people pay attention to Parliament. They don't.
They don't. We don't.
You know, you go into Parliament and you say, you know, we spoke about this. This is what we are talking about. This is. They don't care about that. You do have to bring out information, you know, in small and bits and pieces, and you know, entertaining ways. You see artists like Gaza who are now openly, you know, campaigning for SWAPO. Gaza, King TD. Sorry, these are people who have already, you know, put their stamp on SWAPO. It'll be interesting to see if any artists would embrace any other political parties. Is there some kind of retribution if you choose a political party that doesn't lose? Is that perhaps why some artists might feel a little iffy about, you know, expressing their political interests or affiliations, because they're thinking that if SWAPO indeed stays in power, what does that mean for my bread going forward when I was here campaigning for someone who wanted to take power away from SWAPO? So I think these are some of the things that they'll be considering.
I definitely agree, and you know what? This is where I can add my 2 cents. It's not tied to SWAPO at all. It's tied to my country, South Korea.
Okay, we should have all known.
To my country, South Korea. Like when it comes to artists, artists are actually not allowed.
That's why they do that. You told me about.
That's why they do the gyaru, because if they do so basically when you have political parties, like you could do this, that shows that you're with a certain political party. If you do this, shows you're with a certain political party. That's why they ended up doing this, so that you're not affiliated to any political party. So it's quite interesting to see that, you know, now SWAPO is using artists. And it's because, again, like you're saying, that they're trying to reach the millennials and the Gen Zs. And they know that the Gen Zs are listening to Gaza, they're listening to King TD. So that could be a great way to garner votes. But I just don't know if the youth are convinced.
Yeah, I mean, it'll take a lot. It'll take a lot to convince them, because ultimately, as vibrant as your campaign is, they need to feel that vibrancy from the leader as well. And age is absolutely a factor in this election, in every election. You look at the United States election, looking at the debate from last week between Trump and Joe Biden, it was like, oh my goodness, the retirement Olympics. Those people who are not meant to be there. You know what I mean? I've never felt so bad for grandchildren. I'm like, you have grandchildren that you could be sitting with on the couch, ridiculing people who are in your position. But here we are, you're a grandfather, you're barely putting sentences together. The other one can't talk without lying. He can't, it's impossible. From the moment he says his name, it's lies. So it's like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now you come back to Namibia, to Africa, where I would say, especially in Namibia, we have an opportunity for we actually have a more dignified political field. You know, save a couple of, you know, people punching each other here and there. But for the most part, for the main competitors, we have a dignified political field. However, in that dignity, people have to figure out a way to find the youth.
Yes.
It's not just going to be by sensationalism. Yes, the youth love a good headline. They love a good story. They love scandal. But is that enough for them to vote you into power?
Exactly.
If you're going to be, for example, Menetumbo can't escape her age. So is her approach going to be, you know, I'm your wise, guiding grandmother?
Yes.
You know, is that something that the youth are willing to accept? Because the youth are also seeing their older aunts, their older cousins, their people who are close, you know, closer to Menetumbo's age, further from theirs, let's say mid-40s, 50s, who they might feel could be more worthy of it. And so it then becomes her onus to bridge that gap, you know, to see like, how can we reach these folks? And this is the challenge for every single political person in the field trying to reach Namibians. It's important. And it might have been nice, you know, in the previous elections. I'm sorry, if you don't have to consider the youth, considering their complexities, the previous elections have been easier. Trust me. This is going to be the most difficult election because you're trying to please a generation which, by definition, cannot be pleased.
And by definition, this generation that is going around on Instagram, on Twitter, saying that the retirement age is 65. But here we are. Well, this came after the Trump and Biden debate, saying that the retirement age is 65. So why do we have to vote into power people who are above the age of 65? This is what the Americans were saying. So they were not impressed at all that their two presidents are either Biden or Trump.
They're the same age, but different aging.
Different age. Ooh, different
Let me
aging.
put it this way. Let's put it into perspective. Bill Clinton came into power in 1992.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
And he's still on the campaign trail. Healthier than Biden. You know what I'm saying? But coming down to Africa, unfortunately, Africa, we've seen the story of the elderly statesman more often than not. It's still present in Uganda without a doubt with Yoweri Museveni. It's still present in Cameroon. It was certainly present in Zimbabwe with Mugabe. In fact, the current president is also fairly of age. And so the question now is, are you hoping that Gen Zs react like millennials? Now, millennials, we have this thing called shame and fear because we are very close to the trauma that the previous generation experienced. The Gen Zs woke up with cell phones in their hands. It's not going to be as easy to convince them that the only way to go into the future is to hold on to the past. They're not very keen on that, in my opinion. So it's going to be fun to see how political parties in Namibia utilize social media.
Yeah. Okay. Now moving over from politics, swinging over to China in a more light-hearted story.
Did you just say China and light-hearted?
No, it's not light-hearted. It's weird. It's strange. Okay, because it smells the coffee. We bring you strange and bizarre news. A Chinese man poses as a doctor and dupes girlfriend out of $360,000, and the pair often met on hospital grounds. A court in Shanghai charged a Chinese man with fraud for stealing 2.6 million yuan from his girlfriend after he posed as a doctor at a top-tier hospital. The man, surnamed Zhang, was sentenced to 11 years and 6 months in prison and fined $35,000 for the crime. The court disclosed the case in May but did not specify the dates of the crime. Zhang, who actually worked at a hotel, started the fraud in 2016 when he was introduced to Huang, who worked at a shopping mall. Throughout their 6-year relationship, Zhang claimed to be an obstetrician gynecologist at a top-tier hospital in Shanghai. He also said he graduated from a well-known medical school in China. Zhang created a convincing persona as a successful professional, and Huang never doubted his story. They began dating about 3 months after the initial introduction. One possible red flag was that whenever Huang asked to visit her boyfriend at work, he would find excuses to postpone the meetup, citing a busy schedule of clinical checkups or surgeries. They would often meet on the lawn outside the hospital for their dates. In November 2016, as their relationship progressed, Zhang developed an addiction to gambling and accumulated substantial debts. At first, claiming to be a doctor was just a way to play around with Huang without revealing my true identity, Zhang later confessed. He said he later realized that the fake identity made her more willing to trust and rely on him, which made it easier for him to ask for money. The big scam came when Zhang told his girlfriend that he planned to make enough money to buy a house by depositing a large amount of money into a securities fund that invested in equity futures. To convince Huang, he forged fake documents related to the investment fund. Now, during their relationship, Huang transferred more than $360,000 to Zhang, all of which he used for gambling and to pay off his debts. Now, when she became fed up because he would not return the money, she called and checked in with the hospital about Zhang's employment, only to discover that he did, in fact, not work there.
Oh, Zhang and Wang. Zhang Wang. Very sad story for Wang.
Yes.
Very, very bad behavior from Zhang. And
You're enjoying this a little too
yeah,
much.
I'm just narrating what happened here. Yeah, what's your first impression of the story?
My first impression of the story is be careful. Don't trust men.
That's it. You see, I know we promised not to bring politics, but my first impression of this is classism. Yeah, because it's been established that certain careers are easy to trust. She wasn't going to give him that money if he told her he was an artist.
True.
But he said he was a doctor, and thus she assumed everything was above board. But when they only met on lawns, did he ever take her out? She never went to a restaurant? She never got to see any...
No, because he had surgeries and he had appointments, so he had a very busy schedule.
So he had a very busy schedule.
So he could only afford to give her time at the hospital lawn.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, due diligence is a thing. Everyone is responsible for their own due diligence. I will remind you, in every interaction, you are responsible for your own due diligence. Of course, it's not to say that people will not try to bamboozle you. But if sometimes, for example, you're just told, oh, what are your standards? What would you like? Who would you like to marry? And the first thing he says, I want a doctor, I want a lawyer. And you say nothing about character. You might get a doctor who doesn't have character, i.e. Zhang. Aisha.
And you know what's sad is we are constantly reading about these stories and hearing about these stories about how these men are scamming women. So my thing is, why not do your due diligence? You understand? Like, why not? My mother always says to me, if something seems too good to be true, it probably is.
I mean, especially in China, where everything seems to be very rigid and controlled.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, you should be worried if you know what I mean? It should be quite easy to check if someone is really moving along the lines. So it is very worrying, and it is very sad that people con people in such a way. Of course, it happens with both genders. You know, some
It
women
does.
will con you, others will just wait for you to die. It can just. It works how it works. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, it's cool.
Depends on your patience.
Listen, Diana, if you came to me and just said that you're absolutely in love with an 85-year-old man, I would tell you I believe it's love. But I would be more likely to be like, yeah, if 85, 15 years maximum, you're getting that retirement, that inheritance. So it's very interesting to see, and it's very sad because I was actually having a conversation yesterday with a French friend of mine, and you know, the French be very passionate about everything. And the conversation came down to, is anything still sacred? You know what I mean? We used to have things which were sacred. I understand it. There's modernization, there's technology, there's movement, there's connection like never before. But do we still keep certain things sacred?
No.
And out of thought, things like, you know, like relationships are things we keep sacred. Even religion, even when, you know, I don't practice religion necessarily myself, but I do understand how sacred it is to those who practice it. Even though, you know, sometimes those who practice it don't respect the sacred of other sectors of religion. But ultimately, it scares me sometimes that we don't believe anything is precious anymore as a community.
No, not even marriage. I mean, people joke around and say there's no one that's as single as a married man.
I've heard that joke as
yes.
well. It's
like
very alarming.
It's
Very alarming.
what it is.
And I would say that a ring on a man and woman's finger also has an opposite effect.
Yes.
One is a
Yes.
deterrent.
Yes.
One is the opposite. I won't tell you which is which.
But you'll know.
You know that one, yeah, is yeah. So I mean, look, but ultimately, as human beings, we need to sit down and be like, what can I do with my humanity that best serves other human beings, or at least, you know, gives them peace and safety to be themselves. And being dishonest, every human being has lied, but being dishonest about who you are is a lie that's difficult to run away from.
Yeah, man. Ashwin said it all. I cannot possibly add on to that. We will now take a quick ad break and get into our interview segment when we come back.
Attention kids, we have some exciting news for you. We are back, and this year we are planning on going big. So listen up. If you are in grade 3, grade 2, grade 1 or pre-primary, we are bringing your free school workbooks to you soon. This is all you need to know about where you can find your books. Books will be available for free in Republican Street Sale newspapers and all Namibian Sun newspapers. And for all pre-primary kids out there, your books will be delivered to your school in all 14 regions of Namibia. And there's more. Pre-primary books will also be printed in 9 different languages. Check out when your book will be available from the schedule right here. That's not all. Our free online school is there to help you along the way with video lessons and more books to download. You can also follow along on NTV every Monday to Friday from 9:30.
Joining me in studio is the beautiful Lourise Kaffer, one of the top 10 finalists of Miss Teen Namibia 2024. Good morning and welcome to Smell the Coffee.
Good morning, ma'am.
First of all, congratulations on making it to the top 10 finalists of Miss Teen Namibia 2024. It's a big feat. I think you should understand that making it to the top 10 is a big accomplishment. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Can you tell us what motivated you to enter Miss Teen Namibia?
So what motivated me is the passion. I'm passionate about pageantry, and this has always been my dream to be on such a big stage like Miss Teen.
How would you describe your experience of the pageant so far?
How would I describe it? This is totally an answered prayer. This is something that I've been praying for, and last year I wanted to enter but I couldn't enter and I cried, and this year was like God really answered my prayers.
Why couldn't you enter last year, if I may ask?
Due to financial assistance and due to the distance. I was not in the town I'm currently in, so that was my biggest barrier to enter for Miss Teen Namibia 2023.
I understand. Well, it's a good thing that you're here and you're in the top 10.
Yeah.
Clearly, you are destined for this.
Yeah, really.
Can you tell me, how are you managing to balance your school life and also the pageantry demands? Because I know there are quite a lot of things that are expected from you as being
really.
the top 10 Miss Teen Namibia contestants. So how are you balancing it all?
No, like for the top 10, it was fine. Prelims, it was hectic because I had to travel back and forth. But being in the top 10 and balancing with school, I'm on holiday, so it's not that a big of a deal.
Oh, I see. Well, that's
Yeah.
good to hear. That's good to hear that at least you have found that balance.
Yeah.
How would you address the issue of poverty in Namibia? This is like one of our big questions.
How would I address the issue of poverty? Personally, I think that we have so many assistants in Namibia, and for our government, we only focus on one set of the country. If we go to the south, people really suffer. If you go on the streets, people really suffer. So that is a big deal in our country, poverty. Yeah.
I think that brings me to the next question, which is, if you were to win Miss Teen Namibia 2024, what is one of the courses, maybe you're not going to have one, that you would advocate for during your reign?
It's bullying. Since I went through bullying, this led me to stand up and raise my voice to make a difference. It might not bring much change, but the little difference, as I go by the quote that says, small progress is better than no progress. So that would be I'm going to work on my advocacy, which is bullying.
Now that's amazing, and I like your code. Small
progress is better than no progress.
Wow, small progress is better than no progress. That's amazing and inspiring.
Yeah.
Now, before I let you go, what advice would you give to young aspiring models who look up to you, especially now that you're in the top 10, and you just also mentioned like how hard it was for you. You couldn't even do it last year because of financial constraints, and here you are in the top 10.
Is that no matter what you face, everything you put your mind to will come to pass. As I said, success is what you make out of it. Thank you.
Everything you put your mind to will come to pass.
Yeah.
That will be my motto for the week. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
All right, we'll be right back with more Smell the Coffee.
Now it's time to get into our intimate insights. I'm actually curious to hear what you have to say about this.
So intimate insights, basically, our viewers send in their issues.
Yes, and then we give insight.
All right.
So this says, hi there, I've been struggling to balance my career and my relationship. I recently got promoted, which is great, but it also means I'm working longer hours and traveling more frequently. My partner has been supportive, but I can tell they're starting to feel neglected and frustrated. We've had a few arguments about this, and I'm worried it might get worse. How can I manage my career ambitions without jeopardizing my relationship? Any advice would be appreciated.
Is there age there?
No, there's no age.
If you're in your 20s, don't be silly, go to work.
Oh, okay. In your 30s?
If you're in your 30s, talk about it. Because you're in extra time, you know what I'm saying? You say no to this one, it might be the last offer. But I do think in general, obviously, you want to have a relationship that understands that your purpose is outside your relationship. And your purpose can sometimes be tied to your career. So to have that conversation to say, I have these ambitions. Because what your partner might need to realize is that if you can't fulfill those ambitions, you might bring that resentment back to that relationship. And I promise you, that resentment is way worse than tensions on having to work some hours. But ultimately, if you have two people who understand they've got ambitions, sacrifice is a part of it. And the main thing is to reassure each other, to say, listen, yes, I have to work these hours, but in the time we do have, we spend it intentionally. We spend it understanding each other, we spend it together, quality time, not just going out to the club, not always finding a third party of entertainment, but just the two of us getting to know each other, and we compromise as we go. And you know, in life, these things ease up, you know what I mean? But ultimately, you'll be dealing with a much worse situation if you can't pursue the career that you want because of a relationship.
I agree.
And like I said, if you're in your 20s, stop wasting our time. Go to work.
Go to work. You know what, Ashwin, you've said it all. That was actually some great advice.
Right.
Maybe we should actually have you in every Monday to give advice.
Let me know.
But hey, that does bring us to the end of our episode today of Smell the Coffee. We'll be seeing you again tomorrow, same time, same place.